later as well. Fabulous. Okay, cool. So for today's little gentle stretch and movement flow, I wanted us to kind of just warm up the whole body and kind of just move the whole body in different areas. So yeah, I'm going to start on my knees and start with some breaths and some shoulder rises and falls. So I'm going to pull my shoulders up, inhale, bring them down, exhale, bringing it up, let it go, bring the shoulders down. Lovely. Pull the shoulders back, pinning them together at the back, opening up the chest. And round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. And just take it through the motions, pinning at the back, up to the top, round at the front, pulling down. Inhale on the rise. Exhale on the fall. Inhale on the rise. Exhale on the fall. Change direction, taking it through the front. Up to the sky. Back and down. Round. Up. Back and down. Lovely. One more. Back and down. Lovely. Ear over to the shoulder. Keeping the shoulders down. Roll it round the front. Over to the other side. And then gently easing back. So just rolling through that front semicircle, just to stretch out the back of the neck. Lovely. And then gently lifting your head back up on top of the shoulders. Just going to do a little bit on the wrist. So I want you to bring your fingers down towards you. Bring your weight forwards into your knees. And then I'm just going to gently bring my butt back so I can start to feel the stretch along the front of my arm. And you can just bend the elbows if you want to deepen the stretch. Lovely. And then turning fingers in towards one another, and we're just going to rock from side to side. You don't need to put too much pressure on the wrists. It's just to start applying a little bit of pressure to warm them up and get them moving. Lovely. Two palms facing outwards. And switcheroo other way. Lovely. And then two facing out, both facing outwards. Lovely, good. We'll just do some circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. And I'm going to take myself over onto all fours. Now from here, I'm just going to do a quick inhalation and exhalation with my back raises. So tilting my pelvis up, looking up to the sky. Inhale, and then rounding it over, separating the shoulder blades, pelvis goes down. Exhale. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, looking down. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, looking down. And then let's roll the ribcage round in a circle. Just rolling it through, stretching through all the positions. Change direction, take it the other way. Lovely, good. Bring the knees together and bring yourself onto your butt and bring your feet in front of you. I'm going to drop one knee over to one side, then gently open one knee at a time to then take it over to the other side. And just start this with smaller movements. So I'm just gently taking my knees further apart each time I do it, just so it starts to warm up the hips a little bit more. So just rocking from side to side, and as you feel comfortable, you can then not lift up the other knee until it reaches over to the other side, and then really try to pin the knees down in the middle. Lovely. Good. Just to get a little bit of fluidity going in those knees, not in my knees, in my hips. Lovely. And then from here, taking yourself back over onto all fours. I'm going to just make sure that my wrists are underneath my shoulders, tuck my nose under at the back, and then I'm going to lift my knees up. So I'm kind of like floating in the air. And this is really good to just make sure that your back is nice and straight, so you're not sticking your butt out at the back or you're rounding over. I want to have a nice straight back, and this will help to start to engage my tummy. And I'll also be, I say I've got a straight back, my pelvis is tucked ever so slightly down, and this is just so that I can better engage my core muscles. Lovely. Bring your butt over your ankles and then start to straighten out your legs as you come into your downward facing dog position. So I'm just going to walk through my legs one at a time, because I've not done any movement in my knees or my hamstrings or my quads yet, or my calves. So just stretching it out one at a time, really starting to straighten out the legs, stick the butt up to the sky, and then have a little softness to the knees, and let's just bring it into the shoulders, pushing our armpits down towards our toes. Lovely. Taking yourself up onto tippy toes, rounding yourself over, and I want you to take yourself into your plank position. Drop the knees down, untuck the toes, and then we're going to bend, keep the elbows in, bend it down, lowering yourself gently to the floor, and then we're just going to gently lift up the chest and then relax it back down. Lovely. So we're just kind of going through this motion just to warm up a little bit of everywhere. Bring your chest as close to the floor, and we're going to slide it along the mat towards your knee, and then take yourself into your child pose. So my arms are outstretched, forehead to the floor, and my tailbone is tucking down towards my toes. I've separated my knees so I can bring my chest closer to the floor, and this just helps to really release my lumbar spine as well. Just relax here for a moment. And then let's go back through those same motions. Onto all fours, toes tuck under, lift the knees up off the floor, keep the tummy engaged, back nice and straight. And just breathe, feeling strong and stable in your little tabletop pose. Lovely. Bring your butt over your ankles and then straighten yourself out into your downward facing dog position. Now, when you're here, I might just take this top off, it's getting in the way. Sure. When you're here, I want you to start to really straighten those legs out as best you can, and think about trying to tilt your pelvis up and away. I want that to be your main focus, is tilting your tailbone, trying to reach the sky. And this will feel like a big stretch in your hamstrings down the back of your thighs, because they'll be trying to stretch out, but at the same time your ankles are pulling down towards the floor. So because they're pulling in opposite directions, it's going to feel like a really big, beautiful, deep stretch. Lovely. Take yourself up onto tippy toes. Round yourself over into your plank pose. Now you've got the choice here. If you want to drop the knees down again, you're welcome to. Or if you would like this to be a little bit more challenging, bend the elbows and take it down, and then gently up and through. So you don't need to drop the knees down if you want it to be slightly more challenging. And then from here, slide the chest along the floor, and then take yourself into your child's pose again, just to have a little moment to rest, to relax, and to release the shoulders, release the lower back. Lovely, good. And taking it up. This time we're going to change things up ever so slightly. So we're going to start on our all fours, same as before. Tuck the toes over, lift the knees off. Just getting nice and engaged, feeling nice and strong. And then let's take the butt over the legs, take yourself into your down facing dog. Stretch out, try and get your ankles down to the floor, butt up to the sky, shoulders down towards the armpit. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up my right leg and take it directly behind me. I'm going to do my best to keep my hips square. So I'm going to lift it up as high as I can, keeping my hips square. And then I'm going to bend my foot towards my butt, starting to feel a bit of a stretch in my quad. See if I can get my knee to point up to the sky if I can. And then from here, I'm going to bring my knee down towards my other knee, and then bring it in towards my chest, and then open it out to the side and then up to the sky. So I'm going to do like this circle with my knee, down towards my knee, in towards my chest, opens out, up and round, down, through, out, up, round. And let's change direction, take it the other way. Down, round, and back up to the top. Opening it round again. So we're kind of doing like these hip circles by drawing a big circle with my knee. And take it once more. Round. And then let's make this one the last one. Bring the knees together, bring the toes back down. Round yourself over into your plank pose. Lower yourself down. Gentle lift with the back. Oh, itchy nose. And then roll that through into your child's pose and just have a little rest. So you might feel a little bit imbalanced here. I've noticed it myself, where one side feels more limber and stretched than the other because we haven't done the other side yet. Isn't it funny how you can feel a little unbalanced just because of how you've stretched? We do crave symmetry, don't we? Lovely. Take yourself back up onto all fours. Let's rebalance and take it to the other side. Tuck the toes over, under, lift the knees off the floor, start to engage the tummy, back nice and straight, feel nice and strong and stable. And then take the butt over the knee, over the feet, taking yourself into your down facing dog. Butt up to the sky, ankles pulling down to the floor, toes, armpits trying to reach your toes. Lovely. And then let's take the other leg. And to begin with, we take it straight. And we're just going to lift it up, trying to take our hip, keep our hips square, lifting it as high as we can. Lovely. And then let's bend the foot in towards the butt. Maybe feel a stretch in the quad because you're trying to get your knees to come up to the sky. Keep them hips square as best you can. And then let's just have a little stretch. Bring a little circle. Bring your knee down, in towards the chest, round and open towards the back. And down for number 2, in towards the chest, round, then knees together, round and open, and lovely. And then let's change direction, taking it back through the back, opening it out, knee to the sky, rounding over towards the chest, and then back to the knee. Slides past the knee as it goes up to do a second circuit, back towards the chest, and a third, final one, rounding over. And then take 2 feet back down to the floor, up onto tippy toes, round yourself over, pulling the shoulders back and down, and pulling, gently lowering down, lifting up. And then let's slide ourselves through into our child's pose just for that little rest again. Lovely. Good. Lifting yourself up. I'm going to do a little bit on a tummy. So I'm going to take myself into a elbow plank. Now, if you want to, you can do this in a full plank. The main reason I'm not is because I can only do so much on my wrist at the moment before I overload it. So I'm going to do mine on my elbow plank. So I'm going to bring my elbows directly down underneath my shoulders. If you want to do this with your full arms, then you can just do it with your hands, wrists directly underneath your shoulders, but I'm going to do elbows. Make sure they are under your shoulders, not too wide. So elbows go in. I'm going to just bring my hands together. That feels comfortable for me. And I'm going to tuck my toes under at the back, lift my knees up, and then I'm going to have a nice straight back, and pelvis is tucked under, butt is tight, tummy is engaged. I'm just going to hold it here for a few seconds, and I'm just going to breathe. Inhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Careful not to drop the head down. I want to keep that in line, looking at my fingers so I know that I'm staying in a nice straight position from the top of my head to my ankles. My shoulders are pulled down, they're nowhere near my ears. And just breathing. And then drop the knees down and then relax. We can take ourselves onto our tummy if you wish to. Good, nice. Excuse me. From here, I'm going to lift myself back up, and then I'm going to take one leg forward in a nice big step. I'm going to push and sink myself through into my low lunge position. So I'm just going to start to warm up those hips a little bit more. I know that we did our hip circles, so hopefully this should feel quite nice going into a deep position. I'm going to take my two hands either side. I'm going to do my hip circles again now. I'm in this position, which will take them a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to rotate my hips round for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then change direction, take it the other way for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Lovely. I'm going to take myself back upright. See if I can balance. You just pop your hands on your hips as long as that feels okay. So we're just kind of sinking into this stretch a little bit more. If you want some padding underneath that back knee, feel free to grab it, and just make sure that your ankle is underneath that knee, so you're not too far out and you're not in. So I want it to be directly underneath, so I'm in my, just sinking down into those hips, hands on hips. So if you just feel too much, maybe you can bring your hands to the floor or hold on to a wall or a chair. Lovely. Bring your hands to the inside. Shuffle my foot ever so slightly so it's on the outside of my shoulder, and I'm going to roll onto the blade of my foot. So my little toe comes down to the floor, the sole of my foot is facing out into the middle of the room, and my knee is coming out away from me. And this will just feel nice stretch in your hips, and it will be sinking deeper into your hip at the front here. And we're just going to breathe and hold. Now what I want you to do is bring your chest up and feel like it's maybe pulling you forward ever so slightly. Lovely. Breathing. One more big deep breath. Inhale. And exhale. Lovely. Bring your foot back down so that your sole plate is down. And then from here, if you wish to, you can take it a bit deeper by taking yourself into your elbows. So bring your elbows down to the floor. Now this can feel like a really big stretch. So if it does feel too much, you can stay on your upper, on your arms, or you can kind of do a halfway house where you're not quite there, but you're getting lower, or take yourself into your elbows. If with every position, I still want to keep that chest kind of pulling and leading you forward. So don't round over. I'm really looking through in this position and kind of pulling my chest forwards. Lovely. Fabulous. From here, one more breath. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tuck the toe under at the back. So I'm going to tuck my toe under, and then I'm going to straighten that back leg out. And then I'm going to release and relax it back down. And then I'll straighten and squeeze, try and get it as straight as possible. And then relax. And last one, straighten and squeeze. And then relax. Lovely. Now I'm going to do one. This is optional, really. You can either hold this position, you might be in this position, but I'm going to do one final one, which is a bind. So this is where you take the hand that is the same as the leg that's at the front, and you're taking it through that leg. So I want you to get it so that your shoulder comes all the way towards, I'll show you this side on front on. So I'm trying to get this hand, so my shoulder comes to my knee, and I'm going to try and get that hand to come through. Then from here, I can bring my hand into the top of my back. From here, my other hand can then hold it and bind like so. You might just be able to trick your fingers, you might get wrist to wrist, and that will just be trying to keep that chest up and open as well whilst in that position. So it's a little bit of like a little pretzel position, but it's quite fun to try and get into and see how you find it. And then when you're there, once you've finished, unrazzle and unpretzel yourself and pull yourself up and out. Good. Hopefully that felt like a really nice big stretch in this hip, maybe a little bit in the other hip as well. And then let's switch over to the other side. So I'm stepping forward to begin with, and I'm just going to sink myself down into my low lunge position. Lovely. And then I'm going to bring one hand either side as I do my hip circles round, just really getting into those, really all the little areas in the joints to stretch it out. So I'm going to circle round for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Change direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Then from here, I'm just going to make sure that my ankle is directly underneath my knee, and I'm going to lift myself up if I can and bring my hands onto my hips, just sinking into this hip. If you feel like you are not balanced or it feels too intense, maybe find like a wall that you can just hold next to so that it helps you feel upright and a little bit more balanced. So just sinking into this hip position a little bit more. Lovely. Then coming down, bringing your hands, 2 hands to the inside of your foot, and I'm going to shuffle my foot to the side, take my knee out away from my body, rolling my foot onto the blade of my foot. So my little toe comes down to the floor and my sole of my foot is facing in towards my body. Lovely. And I want this to be on the outside of my shoulder. So it's not right in front of me, it's to the edge of the mat. Lovely. And I'm just going to hold it here. Just breathing, keeping that chest lifted and up, sinking into your hips. Lovely. And again, if that knee feels uncomfortable at the back, grab a cushion. There's no need for that one to feel uncomfortable in any way. And yeah, it might feel uncomfortable in the hips, but you never want it to feel painful. So if it feels painful, ease it off. Pull yourself back up slightly. Lovely. One more breath here. Exhale out. Lovely. And then we're going to take ourselves down into our elbows. Now this is completely optional. Oh, I'm bringing my foot back actually. So I'm going to bring my foot back down to face the floor for this one. And then I'm going to bring myself into my elbows. Now if this feels too intense or you're finding that you're rounding or opening up the inside shoulder, then take yourself back upright, because then it will just be that feeling a little bit of a twist, which we don't need. We want to try and keep our back nice and straight as best as we can. So if it feels better to do it on your full length arms, feel free to do so, or bring them slightly further down, or if it feels okay, you can keep it into the elbows. If you're in the elbows and in any position, keep that head up, keep that chest lifted and pulling you forwards. Lovely. And just breathing, breathing. Lovely. And then let's tuck the toe under at the back and straighten the back leg. So we're just going to straighten, lifting the knee up off the floor. Try and keep the hips where they were. And release. My hips do go up and down slightly. I can feel them, but I'm doing my best. Lifting it up, straighten. And release. And last one, lift, straighten. And release. Fabulous. Now from here, if you wish to, you can do that bind again. So I tend to lift myself up slightly so that I've got a little bit more movement. It's the same arm as the leg that's at the front. That threads through. You try and get it all the way to your shoulder, as deep into the shoulder as possible. Then you've got that hand to wrap and come onto the small of your back or onto your back. I find it easier to lift and bring my weight into my front leg to lift that other hand off. But you can do it with the knee down as well. Just as a bit of fun. Have a little play, see if you can get into that. Don't worry if it's not quite going right for you. It's just a little something to have a little play with and have a little go. Lovely. And then when you're ready, unpretzel yourself and come out. Now I know we've done quite a lot in our hips for today and really warmed them up, but I want us to end with our lower back and feeling a nice twist in the back. So I'm going to face, you can face any direction. I'm just shuffling around so that I've got a little bit of room. So I'm going to lie down on my back and my feet are on the floor and my knees are up to the sky. And then from here, I'm reaching my arms out to the side so that they are in line with my shoulders. And I'm going to drop my knees over to one side and look over to the opposite side. And my shoulder on the opposite side to my knees is pinned down towards the floor. And I'll just start to feel this twist in my lower back, helping to release any tension we might be holding there. Any stress we're holding there? Lovely, and just getting the blood moving in that area just a little bit more to help it heal. Bring the knees back up to the sky and then drop them over to the other side and then look the opposite way, just having that lovely twisting rotation through the spine, all the way from the bottom in your tailbone, all the way up to the top of your neck. Lovely. And then lifting back up to the sky, and then drop the knees down to side number one, looking over in the opposite direction. And then with the top leg, I want you to just take that round a little bit further and take it however far feels comfortable. So you might take it just a little bit over, or you might lift it a lot higher, whatever kind of feels good, and it will just deepen that twist and that stretch. And just breathe here. Inhale. Exhale. On the exhalation, really feel like your muscles are relaxing and easing into the stretch. Inhale. Letting it go. Exhale. Lovely. Bring the feet together, knees together, knees back up to the sky, and then dropping it over to side number two. Head goes in the opposite direction, and then the top leg lifts up and twists over to the other side. Taking it a little bit higher, deepening that twist sensation. Lovely. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale, let your muscles completely relax. Lovely. One more here. Lovely. And then bring knees together, feet together, and lift the feet up. Now from here, I want you to lengthen your legs out so you're completely lying down, nice and vertical, on the floor, not vertical, horizontal, you know what I mean. And I'm just going to let my feet naturally roll out, my knees naturally roll out, my hips naturally rest open, just letting my breathing calm and keep this kind of relaxed as possible. And then from here, what I want us to do is I'm going to lift my head up to look towards my toes, and I'm going to interlink my fingers behind my head. And then I'm just going to rest my head into my hands. And then from here, I'm just going to bring my hands so that I'm almost like bringing my chin in towards my chest, and I'm just using my hands to do that. And this is just going to stretch out the back of the neck, but you also might feel it coming down your lower back, into your back as well, more in your upper back, maybe a little bit in your middle back, but you probably won't feel it in your lower back. Lovely. And then you're just going to twist your head so that you're kind of looking over, just past your elbow almost, over to one side, and then take it back to center, back to your toes, and then over to the other side. And this is just so we can stretch out different parts of the muscles on each side, taking it back to center. Now, if you wish to here, this is something that I quite like to do. I hold my head with one hand, and then with my other hand, I can give my neck just that little massage. So I'm kind of like pinching the muscles that are either side of my spine. So I don't push onto my spine. I'm just kind of like pinching the muscles in, just lining next to the spine, all along my neck. Lovely. Just feeling that lovely stretching, giving it a little rub and a little massage, maybe little circular motions, right up into the, just underneath that kind of cap where the skull is as well, right at the top of the spine. Lovely. Maybe a little bit into the shoulders if that's where it feels good, and then gently relaxing the head back down, and we'll relax the arms as well. Take one more big deep breath in, and exhale, let it all go, let it all relax. Lovely. And then when you're ready, in your own time, bring your knees back up to the sky, feet underneath you, roll yourself over onto one side so that you can gently lift yourself up in a nice gentle capacity, taking yourself back up to seated. So I hope that felt really good. It was actually quite intense at some points, particularly in the hip stretches, and when we were doing our downward dogs and through to plank and our elbow plank, it would have been quite strenuous on a lot of our muscles, but hopefully a little bit relaxing towards the end, so it didn't feel too intense the whole way. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed.